Hello, my name's Ajay and you're watching The Defining Moment for Creating the Culture of Conscience. Today we're happy to welcome back Joy Philippou. Joy is the president of Body, Mind and Soul International and the woman who taught Uri Geller how to meditate. She's also the author of over 16 books, including A Course in Loving, Magic and Religion, and Uri Geller, Man of Fire. Joy, thank you very much for joining us again on The Defining Moment.
Thank you for asking me again.
Well, today's topic is putting God back into education. Now, before we get into that topic, I'd like to ask you a few questions just to lead us into that discussion. And the first one is, what is the nature of a human being?
The nature of a human being? Divine. Divine. Our nature is nothing other than God living within us. The God that is within us. That is the human being. If you think of a bottle that has air in it, that air can't go out of the bottle. Even when you take the cork off, the air stays in the bottle. But the air that's inside the bottle is exactly of the same substance of the air that's all through the atmosphere. When you break the bottle, the air that's in the bottle becomes part of the air that's around it. So if you take the body as being the bottle and the soul being a part of God, when we die, the soul goes back into God, merges into God. That is the nature of the human being. We don't realize it. We are divine, but we've lost it, and that's the meaning of God realization. That is to say, you realize your divinity, and when you do that, you become Christed. You know, when Christ said, "Become perfect,
As your Heavenly
Father is perfect," then you and I will be one.
So a human being is not a physical body alone?
No. The physical body is nothing other than the bottle that contains us. That's all. It's just our physical container.
And what would you say about the actual state of the human condition today?
The human condition today, I would say, as you would say, as anybody else who thinks straight will say, that we have lost our way a little bit. We've lost sight of where we're going. You know, it's like you want to go to the moon. You ride the rocket to go to the moon. You fill your fuel tank for as much as you need for the journey to the moon, and then you see a little star on the side over there, and you say, "Oh, I'll go and visit that on the way." And then, when you decide you're going to go back to your target, 1 yard away from the target, your benzene runs out, your fuel runs out. Your whole trip has been for nothing. You see, if we lose sight of the fact that we need to unite our soul to God, as we said at some other time, you know, as others have said before us, all the prophets have told us that the aim of human life, even Christ spoke about the prodigal son returning to the Father. The aim of human life is to go back to the Father, to reunite again with the Godhead. And if we go to the little star that's not our target, that is to say, we just enjoy the physical things of life and disregard all the cosmic laws and all the ways and means by which we can return to the Father, we've lost it. Then when we feel we want to come back, it's too late, you know. We've wasted our life on earth. He gives us a certain amount of time, gives us the opportunities. It's up to us to use them. That's the human condition. We've lost our way a little bit.
Okay.
But luckily for us, we've got spiritual teachers who come and occasionally appear on earth and remind us what the real way is.
Well, let's look at that, the role of teachers. In your experience as a teacher yourself for many years, do you think there was enough attention paid to the spiritual needs of young people, these hungry minds?
Was there enough attention paid to them? I think that the people who organized education and the education curriculum and education as a whole are well-meaning They mean well. But, Plato said, when kings become philosophers and philosophers become kings, you get utopia. And I think we haven't reached the stage yet where rulers, and that includes educationalists and people who actually are responsible for the educational system, they haven't yet. When they become fully spiritual, then the curriculum will become more saturated with spirituality. They mean well. They give religion, religious knowledge, and that is now getting less and less because of all this political correctness and the multicultural society we live in. They don't know what religion to teach anymore. They're too afraid of stepping on someone's toes and offending someone, you see. So we've got a little bit sort of muddled there. I think they mean well, and I think eventually somebody somewhere is going to come and change the scene and inject a little more spirituality into it, and not so much this religion and that religion. Yeah.
In the actual school system, do you think a teacher could ever play the role, not so much as a guru, I mean that's just a phrase, but as a spiritual teacher, a spiritual guide in schools? Yes.
Now, there is a difference between a spiritual teacher and a guru. We won't go into guruship, but a guru is a God-realized man. He's made it. He's made it to the union. That's a guru. They say, oh, he's the financial guru, or she's the fashion guru. We use the word ever so lightly. There's people who don't know what they're talking about when they use the word guru. Guru is one who takes you from the dark into the light, and that can only be a God-realized person. When they themselves become God-realized, then they are gurus. Teachers, I mean, people, anybody who is spiritual and wants to share his spiritual experience, not say, I am a spiritual teacher, but look, I found the joy of life. I know what it's like to experience God within. I want to share it with you because it makes me so happy. Everything is so wonderful when this happens. I want to share it with you. Not I want to set myself up as a teacher. Now, there aren't very many of those around, but there are some, yes. If the school is lucky, and the children who have these teachers are really lucky, yes. And then, of course, there are degrees of spirituality. Some of us are still searching, and we're still able to share, even though we haven't quite attained perfection ourselves. We can still share what we've learned and what we've experienced and what we want to give to others.
Now, you mentioned earlier being politically correct. So if we were to attempt to put God back into education, into our schools, there would, of course, be the question, well, whose God are we going to put? Is it the Muslim God, the Hindu God, the Christian God? And that would, of course, pose a big question.
There is no such... That's where we all make a mistake. There's no such a thing as a Muslim God or a Jewish God or a Christian God or a Hindu God. There is only God. And each person can only share with their students their own experience, their own understanding. If I'm a Christian, I will naturally share my Christian experience. If you're a Muslim or a Hindu, you can share your experience. That's all we can do. We're limited. The thing is to be well-meaning and to actually be spiritual and then be able to share. It doesn't really matter who shares what with whom. It doesn't matter if whatever religion a Muslim shares with the children. It doesn't matter. As long as he's actually spiritual and instilling spirituality into them. Or if a Christian is spiritual and is instilling the meaning of a relationship with God into his students and lighting their zeal and making them want to be spiritual, making them want to seek God. It doesn't matter what religion they are, it's the spirituality we want, not the religion, not the religious dogma. You have to wash yourself 5 times a day, or you have to starve yourself for a month, or that's not it, you know. That's really, each religion has got its own rules and regulations, and they appeal to some, and some people are lucky enough for the religion that they practice to take them into the spiritual realm. But other people just do it as a habit, as part of their culture. And it's good. It's better than not having a religion. But it's not, it doesn't give you the full taste of spirituality, which is the aim of all religion, you see.
Well, we often hear of members of the community coming into schools to obviously share about what they're doing. For example, the police will come in and explain their role and what they're doing to keep society in order and make the community a better place. What about religious leaders? Why are we not seeing more religious leaders coming into schools and sharing about what they're doing?
Well, we don't all have access to the schools, but I mean, it's known that they do very often invite religious leaders, whether it's the local priest or the local imam or somebody well known. They do. They try. But there again, you see, even if they do get the religious leaders, it's focused on religion, it's not the spiritual contents of the religion.
So what's the distinction here? Religion and spirituality? Well, please tell us about that.
Well, I could teach you to be a fantastic Muslim or Jew by telling you the Quran says, thou shalt not do this, thou shalt not do that, thou shalt do this, thou shalt do that, and you can obey that to the letter. And I can teach you to be a good Jew and say, keep the 10 Commandments and keep Yom Kippur and all that kind of stuff, and do the fasting and do all your ablutions 50 times a day. But we would be focusing on the peel of the fruit and not the fruit. You see? Religion is a container, like this glass. I would say that's the religion, and the spirituality is what the glass contains. Now, if I only focus on the empty container, what am I going to get? Where's the spirituality? You know, it's like giving me a container that's empty. What's the use of it? What's the point? Also, you can go to a further simile by saying, look, if I give you a bottle of perfume and the perfume has lost its scent, you go and you spend £60 on a bottle of Chanel essence and it has lost the scent because it's been in the bottle for too long. The bottle is still there. The liquid is still there. But what you've paid for is the non-tangible scent that you can't capture. Now, religion without spirituality is a Chanel bottle that has lost its scent. It's all there. You see, that's the difference between religion and spirituality. Spirituality is the love of God and love of every human being because they're God's creatures and are spiritual. You know, see, we can relate to each other on a physical level. You can wine me and dine me and take me to the opera and the theatre. But if there's no friendship between us, it's all empty. You see? That's it.
And can you actually teach the love of God?
You can take a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. I could talk to you about God, and I can talk to you about my experiences, and I can say to you, look at the beauty, look at this baby, look what a miracle, God loves you. I can talk till the cows come home. But I can't make you into a spiritual person.
But I imagine in schools where if you're trying to give a young person a sense of spirituality, to give them an understanding that life is not just
but you can talk to them about it. You can talk to them about it. And she said the word education, educare, the Latin word, educare, from which the word education comes, means not conveying bits of information and sticking them onto the child's intelligence or mind. It's drawing out what's there. We are all spiritual beings. Don't forget, our essence is spiritual. We understand what spiritual is without me telling you. You know jolly well that you're not just a body, right? So the spiritual part of you is going to grasp the spiritual. I can do it through language. I can give you experiences. I can play you music. elevating Bach cantatas or bits of his music that will tell me about, make me feel spiritual, will bring out the spirituality in me without you telling me in words. You can help me by playing music, by pointing out the beauty of creation. If we do that, we awaken in the child or in the young adult or in the old adult what's already there. That's education. Educare. Not only saying, oh, teaching, this is this and this is that, and you must do this and you must do that, and if you do this, you'll get to go. You know, bring it out, bring what's in them. We're all lovers of beauty. Every child loves beauty, loves music, loves love, wants to be loved, wants to give love. These are all spiritual. You know, you don't have to sort of. That's how to go about it. You have to know how to awaken, not teach with words. It's impossible. The frog will never be able to teach the fish what's outside and what's there to be had. Some of the fishes are courageous enough to stick their noses out of the water for a few seconds, and then they can see that there's something else.
And maybe just following on from those analogies, the frog and the fish, how would you describe human beings right now as they are searching for truth, as they are on the quest for greater and deeper spirituality in their lives?
Well, they look like a group of caterpillars in the cabbage patch, you know? Every caterpillar is programmed to be a butterfly, but they're so busy eating their cabbage, they don't realize that they're going to be butterflies one day. We're all in the state of caterpillarship, you know? We're munching the cabbage here and there, this religion, that religion, money. But the spirit, one of these days, we're going to all turn into butterflies. We're all programmed to reach the heights and union with God. But we don't realize it just now.
Well, we've looked a little bit at teachers and the role of a teacher, and in fact also the role of schools. But of course it's not enough that we just put the responsibility for educating our young people about spirituality on them alone. And of course parents have a role to play. Now, in this generation, what chance do the next generation have if we're out of touch with spirituality as parents?
It's like, which came first, the chicken or the egg? If the parents themselves haven't been taught, how are they going to teach what they haven't got? You see, so somebody has to teach them, whether it's school, church, state, individuals, books. The parents have to have some kind of spirituality. I can't give you any money if I haven't got anything in my bank account, you know? So if the parents have got the spirituality developed, they will be able to pass it on to the children, even if the school is deficient. Even if society is deficient, the parents can step in. But you see, this whole thing of spirituality and passing it on to the younger generation is a threesome. It should be not only the parents, not only the school, not only the state and religious teachers. It should be everybody putting in their all three, all combining. You know, when elephants protect a little elephant, they're all on all sides. You see, so on one side we need the church elephant, on the other side we need the parent elephant, we need the school elephant, we need the social elephant, and then nurture them. Whatever spirituality, maybe you've got more spirituality than I have, and maybe I've got more spirituality, but if all of us, you know, give in what we've got to share, whatever we've received, let us also share. And I think in the end we'll get there.
And do you think it's possible that these different groups working together, you've already mentioned, of course, the church or the mosque or the temple, the parents, the schools, the teachers, and even the community leaders, the social leaders, do you think they could ever be on the same page? For example, would they all underline the belief or the conviction that there is in fact a life after life?
Yeah, well, it goes without saying, if you're a Muslim, you're going to say that to your children. If you're a Christian, you're going to say that to your children. If you're a Jew, you're going to say that. If you're a Hindu, you're going to say that. Every religion says that. There is no religion that says, be good But it doesn't matter because there is no afterlife. Just live for today. Eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow you will die. There's no religion that says that. They all say there is a life after death. And nature itself shows you that there is life after death. You put a seed in the ground,
But
it rots, but then...
But we don't teach that in schools.
You don't teach what?
That there is a life after life, that there is...
Well, if they're teaching religion, what are they saying? If they do teach religion, they do teach that. If they say, we're not going to teach religion, well, then they don't say it. But every school that allows religion to be taught in the school, whether they bring in a church leader or a mosque leader or a rabbi, if they allow them to talk, that's what they're going to say. They're going to say, look, this life is just a passage. You know, there is life after death. But the thing is, how do you convince the youngsters? That's the difficulty. How do you convince them? How do you convince young adults? How do you convince adults that there is life after death? See? Then you have to bring in other examples, open their eyes to the way the whole of nature tells you that there is life after death.
Oh, that's actually, I guess, my point, because if, as a young person, you're being educated in school and as a combination of things, your perspective on life is, well, here and now, I want it all. But at home, perhaps there's a little bit of spirituality, but you go out into the community, you get a job, and there it's actually almost nothing at all. And of course, you're going to get confused. And that's how I'm kind of trying to kind of, from a young person's point of view, understand how will they actually get spirituality.
Look, it doesn't matter what age you are and how busy you are. Even the richest tycoon who's got absolutely everything, Bill Gates included, on his bed at night, he's got to know if he has a headache or if he has a stomach ache, oh God, am I going to die? It doesn't matter how successful you are in life or how preoccupied you are with things of this world. Alone at night, you're going to be conscious of your mortality. And that has to set you thinking. No? You've got to face it. And then it's up to you how you're going to cope with that. Are you going to say, oh my God, and live in fear all the time that you're going to lose your life? Or are you going to say, there must be a meaning to life, and then and try and discover what the meaning is? You've also got to do your bit and search, you know. You can't just spoon feed people all the time. They've also got to want to get the meaning of life. They've got to do a bit of search. If God didn't mean us to search, he would have made us be born knowing it all. And actually, it is all in there. I mean, a person under hypnosis, if you ask them questions, they know all the answers. But you see, where there's that schizophrenic condition where all that we need to know, the truth, is inside every single one of us, inside our actual brain. It's all there, like a tape recorder. But we're cut off because our conscious mind is all on the physical level. We have no access to it, and that's where meditation comes in, because meditation parts the curtain which separates the two. And then, once you start meditating and you go through that, you get a glimpse of the spiritual world. You even have out-of-the-body experiences. I've had them personally, and out of the body, and it stops you from being afraid to die. You think, oh my God, this is it? I don't want to go back into this prison. You know?
Well, Joy, going back to the topic, putting God back into education, when do you think God was actually taken out and, I guess, kind of put on one side in our
You mean in the educational system?
Yes.
Well, I think there are two sort of, maybe more obvious reasons, but the two most obvious ones are the multicultural society, with all the different religions coming in, and people, we become so politically correct. We're afraid of offending. The Muslims will say, why are you only teaching Christianity? The Christians will say, why do we have Muslims in the school? The Jews will say, why are you making my child a Christian, and why is he mixing with Muslims? And we're so afraid of offending any of them that we've thrown the baby out with the bathwater. That's what's happened, really. Fortunately, they can go to their own families, their own religious schools, if for some reason there's absolutely no more religion left. But you see, the educationalists haven't dared completely take God out of the syllabus, religion out of the syllabus. They have their cake. They want their cake and eat it. You know, they want to stop religion, but they don't want to offend people. They want to. It's a difficult decision to make because they've got so many people to please, and with all the violent reactions that people, you know, you have to be really careful about this. So that's one of the reasons why religion doesn't play such a big role in the school curriculum as it used to in Victorian times, for example. The other thing is the advance of technology, I would say, wouldn't you? That we're so technologically advanced, and it's so easy to become millionaires overnight that the mind sort of is taken. It takes away from the concentration on God. You know, it's something. It blows the mind. All this money making and all the things that money can buy, more and more and more and more as time goes by. And I think that's one of the reasons.
And what do you think about this whole debate about evolution versus creationism? Do you think Darwin should be taught in schools?
Yes, I think Darwin should be taught in schools, but in a different way. I think that Darwin didn't mean to turn the world into an atheistic society. There's something missing from Darwin. I've written a book actually to exactly counteract what you're saying, because it's quite possible that, I mean, we can't deny that evolution is taking place, but evolution with God. It could be, it doesn't mean that evolution, that nature is just going on her own without guidance. It could be that God's way of creating is by trial and error and evolving. You see, it could be God's way of creation. Evolution does not have to make a person atheistic. There can be evolution, and actually, what I've done in this book called called The Evolution of the Species Through Reincarnation, I've called it. It's going to cause a furore, but never mind, it doesn't matter. What it does show is that evolution does not need to be without God. You can bring in evolutionism and creationism. The evolutionists and the creativists can work together. It doesn't have to be a schism.
And finally, Joy, again, in relation to this whole idea of putting God back into education, do you ever think we will see a world with a one world religion?
Well, who am I to prophesy? Your Reverend Moon says yes, it will, and that's the whole point of all these interfaith movements. Sure, eventually, but when? Maybe 100 years from now, 1,000 years from now, we don't know, but yes, of course. It has to be. Butterflies. We're all going to have to be butterflies in the end, whether we like it or not.
And how do you imagine that? Is that something
it's going to
beyond
be heaven on earth, doesn't the Bible? I mean, I can only speak from my own upbringing, right?
Yes.
Which is Christian, and then I went to India and I got all that other stuff. I think that every religion contributes a piece of the jigsaw, actually. I think it's a whole, each religion, it's not separate religions, it's steps towards God. Yes, I think that's what I think. I can't prophesy, but I leave it to those far greater than I, and they're all saying it will be. Even Jesus said, eventually, this is what's going to happen.
And in that sense, will it be a religion that we are left with, or we will go...
No, we will not be left with religion. Will fall away. We won't need linguistics. We won't need anything put into words. We will be experiencing utter love, eternal love, and peace and joy. That's what he says. That's what he promises, and I don't think he's a liar.
Well, on that note, thank you very much, Joy, for sharing with us again your incredible wisdom and insights on these topics. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Well, you've been watching The Defining Moment for Creating the Culture of Conscience. If you'd like to find out more, we're on the web at www.definingmoment.eu. Thank you for watching, and we wish you all the best.